So here, my little guy here, Gwyn, wants to say hello.
Hey.
Hey there, buddy. What did you say your name was?
His name is Gwyn.
Gwyn. I did see that.
Do you remember Rob Gwyn?
Rob Gwyn. Is that why? I just thought of it all at once. I thought of that. Is that why?
Yeah. So I played with Jim. I played with him with Jimbo. Then we played at St. Mary's together. Played down in the Western Professional League together. Mm-hmm. And obviously he passed away 11 years ago in a car accident. So he's named after him. I
see. Well, isn't that something?
That's awesome.
Well, good for you, Gwyn. It's a big name.
Golfer. Finished third in the world last year at the World Kids Golf Championships up in Pinehurst.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
popcorn. Thanks, buddy.
Nice. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Boulton from Boulton, the show where my brother Josh and I, part of the time, set up special guests to snipe wide perspectives at us on the game we all love. Today, we play tic-tac-toe on the PP with former fellow Dartmouth Subway, Smew Husky, and then of various pro teams that Josh and I never played on at all, and who is now Vice President of Premium Seating and Group Sales at the Stanley Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning, Matt Hill. Matty, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure, boys. Looking forward to catching up. Looking forward to the chat.
All right. And before we get started, I always got to turn Josh on. What's happening in Brookfield, Nova Scotia, Josh?
Oh, not much is happening here. I've been anticipating this interview. I've never looked this forward to an interview before, so it's pretty exciting.
Wow. Eat that, Steve Grant and all the Framer and boys. Oh my God. Well, anyway, Matty, I'd like to start off with guests. Just, we're telling your story today. Where did it start? And, a lot of listeners here will know you already, but we have obviously listeners in many different hockey circles. So for those who don't know you, where are you from and how did you get started in hockey?
Yeah, I'm originally from Bedford, Nova Scotia. Obviously, that's where cut the teeth in the game. Had two parents that gave me every opportunity and possible to play, and it's something that I'm forever grateful for because I tell everybody this: hockey is the greatest game in the world, and everything I've gotten in my life I owe to the game. So everything I owe to them, really. But started in Bedford, come up through the ranks, as you mentioned when I. Got through the minor hockey, jumped into the Dartmouth program. Now we were the Dartmouth Thrifty Car Rental Kings. We had probably one of the worst names in AAA hockey before the Subways came along. I know you guys were the famous Subway team, but we were the Thrifty Car Rental Kings back in the day.
That's right.
Bulls Arena.
The Bulls.
Couple of years. The Bulls Arena. Yeah. First year at the Bulls, second year was over at the Dartmouth Sportsplex. So we thought we had made the NHL when we moved to the Sportsplex that year. But played for Steve Kroll, Brad Crosley, bunch of great guys, bunch of guys from Cole Harbour, Tyler Lowe, Brian McIntosh, Dave Marr. We had, Chad Tronholm. I know you had him on as a guest. Had two amazing years there, and that's really kind of where the fire for the game kind of started to get lit, so to speak. Kind of get the opportunity to play in some other different areas and. Rolled from there, but Bedford and then Dartmouth were kind of the minor hockey circles I ran in.
I remember watching a few of your guys' games at the Bulls as the Thrifty Car Rental Kings. I remember the jerseys and everything. Yeah. I used to love when you guys played there because the glass would rattle so hard at the Bulls. It makes such a crashing noise. It was one of my favorite things to listen to.
I tell you what, we had a good team there that first year, coming off the Air Canada Cup for the years before, and they had a bunch of guys that kind of, came back and, we were strong. I agree with you. I love that rink. It was fun to play. Now Sportsplex is fancy, and don't get me wrong, it was great to play in there, but it's kind of similar to the years at St. Mary's. We played at the old alumni arena, and that was truly home ice advantage. So when you played at the Bulls, like that was home ice. It was every time you turn around, you're running into something or the board. So it was always a fun time.
Okay,
awesome. Do you have any particular standout moments from either minor or midget hockey that you look back on?
It's a good question. We had two good teams. The first year we're probably a little bit stronger, but I'll tell you, it's not even the wins and the losses that you remember. It's like the boys, right? Like it really, when it comes back down to it, like it's what happens in the dressing room or on the road or, in hotels. Like at that age, that's the first real taste of what it could potentially be like. So when I think about memories, that's what I think about. Like just, those guys that, I still, even down here in Florida now, still connect with, especially through social media. It's fun to kind of see what everybody's doing and, even connecting with you guys. Like it's the hockey world. It's the hockey community. And, it's not the wins and losses that you remember. It's the guys that you went to battle with, and the highs and lows that you go through hockey season. Those are all pretty fun and pretty special times, right?
Man, I love you saying that.
Love it. That's what we're trying to accomplish with this, is to keep in touch with everybody and, see, it's not just about where you were, it's about where you're at now. And just, the fact that you can just pick up and talk to somebody that you haven't talked to in a few years, and it's just like old times. That's just the way hockey community is. It's a wonderful thing. And it's it's really great that a lot of the people we talk to, that's what they feel the same way about when they look back on their time in the game.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm fortunate now being down here in Tampa. It's a place where people come to visit, right? So you talk about picking right up. I mean, I couldn't begin to tell you the number of, families and old guys that, you'd play with that show up down here, and it's just like you haven't missed a beat. You see them at the game, and next thing you know, you're grabbing a beer afterwards, and it's just like the old days, right? So it's been very fortunate, and, I'm very grateful that I still get to see a lot of people, especially when they come down here on vacation. Well, once the pandemic's over.
Right. Yeah. Right on. And that's what Josh was saying. That's what we've been doing on the show. We've been getting mostly that off of people. It's just so fun to talk. And when we remember stuff, it's always we're trying to really present the idea of what is hockey in our lives, and what does it give us? It's all that stuff with the boys and all most of the off ice. And of course the triumphs and all that, and the heartaches and all that are part of it, but it's all that shared experience. And that's what we're getting on here. So you say the boys come down to Florida sometimes and bring their families down, and probably does Gwyn take him out to golf and school all your friends, or what?
You know what? We get out for some golf too. Yeah, that's always a part of it. He's become a pretty good little golfer, so we're having a lot of fun with it.
Excellent. So after that, it was then Middlebury College. I always remember that, and I got to say, I do remember a lot, because I always remember Matt Hill went to Middlebury College, and it was something I considered doing myself. I thought maybe that's something I might do after Subways or something because of you. And so there's nothing else I have to say about that. I just remember that connection with you in there. Now, was it 3 years that you were there? Because I saw a gap in your stacks at hockeydb.com. There was a gap.
Yeah, HockeyDB, nothing you can hide on there. I was only there for one season, actually. Unbelievable year. Bill Beanie was the coach. He was involved in the U.S. development program. Just an amazing guy. Again, played with some great teammates. A bunch of Canadians were on that team. A bunch of Americans. A lot of great people that I met. Had the one season. I'll tell you. You talk about wins and losses. Remember, that was actually a year we won the national championship. So the Division III national title in NCAA, which, was something that I'll never forget. After that season, my sister, actually, Jenny, you guys have probably met at some point in your days. She was going to come down and play hockey there as well. And she ended up getting sick, and it ended up not working out there kind of last minute, and I ended up staying back home, and that's where I got involved in junior A hockey back with Jim Bottomley and the Olin Exports back then. So just 1 year at Middlebury, but I'll tell you, it shaped me and played a huge influence in me, and part of my development, and a year that I'll never forget.
Okay, so it was the Olins then for a couple of years after that, before SMU.
Yeah. A couple of years there. Tier 2. You guys rode that bus. Those are a fun couple of years there. That I would say that's really when you start becoming. Your best buddies are back in the junior days and the college days. That's when you start really forming some really good relationships with them. A bunch of guys from all over the country kind of come to those teams, and Jim Bottomley was awesome. We had a lot of fun playing hockey, and traveling around the Maritime. So again, another couple of years that wouldn't change for anything. It's all part of developing and molding who you become.
Let's just touch in on the SMU years a little bit. You mentioned the rink, and just give us a general idea what it was like in the AUAA circuit back then.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was awesome. It was awesome. Again, for the best years I've ever had. But it started with Trevor Steinberg, who coached, Tier 2. His first year at St. Mary's was my first year, and he, he was just new to the game, and he brought in a bunch of ragtag Tier 2 junior players to play in this AUS league, or the AUAA back in the day, against a lot of other teams that had a lot of major junior players in it, and he willed us to win. He willed us to work hard, and you could not leave it all out on the ice every time that you stepped out there with a guy like Trevor behind you, because no one works harder than him. So a bunch of good years there. We had some good teams. Never got to the finish line that we'd like to, but I know the team has since then, and I can tell you that's a testament to what Trevor did and what he's done to make that program as world class as a university program is. And obviously he's retired now and enjoying some time off. And knowing Tyler Mogler as well as I do, I'm sure they're in good hands to continue that winning tradition.
Big time. All right. I wonder about that. I remember on some of the, say, a Christmas holiday or something, some of the ones, people who wouldn't go home or people who lived around, we would get the ice for a couple of weeks and play some of these East versus West games or something. Do you recall that kind of thing? Yeah. Yeah. And I thought Sidney Crosby came out as a 14-year-old, and I seem to recall that it was you were his coach and that's how he came out. Is that anything? That's a story I've been telling for years. Is that right?
Yeah. There's some legitimacy to that. Very fortunate when I was young. I used to work over at a hockey school, Andrews Hockey School over in Prince Edward Island. Used to be in Summerside, it's now in Charlottetown. And Alan, mentor, father figure to me and so many other guys, gave us an opportunity to, go through the camps. And then after we, got to a certain age, we started working at those schools. And Sid's father, Troy, used to bring Sydney over on a pretty relative, regular basis to, be part of those camps. And then it got to the point where he'd come over and drop him off. And then, Sid would stay with us for the week and he'd go back. And so we sort of started to build a bit of a relationship at that point. Fast forward to the St. Mary's years, it was, I think it was, we were all off for Christmas break, and Sid was home from, I think, Shattuck maybe at the time. And he came out and skated with us. And, you could tell when he was 8, you knew, like, he just had a way about him. I remember coming back to St. Mary's one year, and when I first met Sid, I'm like, listen, there's this kid, remember this name. He's going to be really good someday. Just his intangibles, not even how good he was on the ice, but just his mannerisms and his maturity, those intangible, characteristics that are so important. He had all of those. So, fun to watch him develop as a young kid.
Well, I appreciate you having that story, because all I've ever got for people is like, they say, oh, he skated with us. I say, yeah. And he goes, I don't really remember much about it. I just recall that this 14-year-old kid was keeping up with guys who were 23, 24 years old. And that, I said, I remember him, he was keeping up, and that was it. But I don't, have that whole thing like, well, you could just tell this and that. I mean, so I'm glad somebody remembers, because my only experience with him like that was just that.
I'll tell you too, like, so part of the job at Andrews Hockey School was we used to get once hockey school was done for the night, whether it finished at 7, 8, 9, 10, or 11, that was when we used to get the ice. So all the instructors, that was kind of our opportunity to, big part of the job was you could train and, have access to the ice after the day was over. And that's when Sid was like 10, 11, and 12. And we were, 18, 19, 20, 21. And you know what it's like to go on those ice. Like, you try to, you throw the guy a few pucks just to, make him feel a part of it. But with Sid, like he fit in, like he'd throw, a pass sauce over a stick between someone's feet right on the tape, and he'd bury a shot. Like, you didn't have to throw many bones. He could carry himself and handle it just fine on his own.
That's awesome. Just to finish off your sort of playing career, just tell us a little bit about your pro career. And I'm kind of curious, like, maybe what's one of the most random places you've ever run into another Canadian or something like that? We seem to be all over the world and all these different.
We are everywhere, man. It's but that's one of the beautiful things about being from Canada. Pro hockey for me, I'll tell you, I've got. So I finished up at St. Mary's, had the opportunity to go down and play for the Central Texas Stampede, a team down in, Belton, Temple, Killeen, Texas, which is kind of about an hour north of Austin, a couple hours south of Dallas. Again, you roll in there, Dave McIntyre, I don't know if you remember that name, but Mac and I played together at St. Mary's, and a guy by the name of Rob Gwynn, who my son's named after, was at St. Mary's, and 3 of us all ended up in Central Texas together. So you're with your buddies, and, you're traveling the road, and, it's minor hockey, it's pro hockey, but it's the minor leagues, the ultra minors, we used to call it, traveling on the bus and, long road. We go on the road because the gun show would come to town. We'd be, have a 10-day road trip, through Mississippi and all the other states down there in the South. So, saw an unbelievable part of the world that I, never had seen before, and met some great people. But the funny story about playing on that team is actually the team folded. We were on a road trip, 10-day, coming back from Lubbock, where Texas Tech is. We played the Lubbock, I think the Cotton Kings, their names might have been. I can't remember now, but we were playing Lubbock. We're coming back into Central Texas. We get back to the rink at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Stick guys there trying to open the door, and, door's locked. We're like, what's going on? Anyway, the team had folded on the road trip home. And so, classic minor league hockey, we took all our hockey bags and went back to our apartments. We all kind of lived in the same complex, and we're like, well, season's over, boys, might as well have a beer. So we had a couple beers, and, might have had more than we probably should have, and get a call the next day at like noon from the owner saying, hey, listen, you got to play one more game. If you play one more game, we'll get your final paycheck, and then there'll be dispersal draft. You guys all go off. So we all showed up at the game there with because the hockey bags, right? Those were like some of the most important things to have, like a real legitimate equipment bag with the logos and all that stuff. I'm like, man, I'm keeping this. I'm not taking this back. What if they take it from me? So we all went to the game with our equipment in garbage bags. We got dressed. It was a no-hitter. I think we lost 15-0 or something to Fort Worth. And then after the game, our coach, Todd, another great guy, Fort Worth, I think, if I'm trying to remember correctly, I think Fort Worth let go their coach and hired Todd after the game. So he got on their bus and left with them on a road trip afterwards. So that was the end of my first run in professional hockey. So classic minor pro team, folding. So, but again, listen, the people down there were so great. The boosters that, I still see on social media, some of those teammates I'm still in touch with. And obviously, Rob Gwynn, who's a real special guy to me and, played a big part in my role. I got a chance to play with him there. That was kind of the last time that we had an opportunity to play together. So pretty special time.
All right. So what's this Monroe Moccasins then? And that was in LA, and then Amsterdam Tigers in Netherlands. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, Monroe was in Louisiana, not LA. But close. I see where you came. So
yeah.
Dispersal draft happens. I got picked up by St. Angelo. They didn't want me. I didn't need a report there. So I went to Macon in Georgia with the Macon Whoopie. That was the name of the team there in the Central Hockey League. I was there for about 10 days. And then my rights got traded from St. Angelo to Monroe Moccasins in Louisiana. So then I went and joined the team there and played the last 15, 20 games of the season with those guys, living in Monroe, Louisiana. And I think I've said it about every place I've been, but loved Monroe. It was so cool. We had so much fun. We had a bunch of great guys. Brian Curran, I don't know if you remember that name, defenseman, played in the NHL, goes by the Colonel. He was our coach. We had a lot of fun, and oddly enough, that team folded at the end of the season too. So I managed to fold 2 hockey teams in my 2-year professional hockey career. I managed to fold 2 teams. So it was quite a run.
So what about, it was Amsterdam though? You were in Netherlands playing? Yeah.
So that was next. That was awesome. That was kind of coming out of school. Like I knew I was never going to play in the NHL. That was, that dream had that ship had sailed, so to speak. And the opportunity to play a couple of years of pro just to get a taste of it. And, you work so hard and, you want to try to make a little bit of money at, you realize quickly you're not at that level. But had the opportunity to do the North American thing. I was like, let's try Europe, just see if there's any opportunities over there. And Chad Murray, who was a teammate of mine at St. Mary's, was over playing in the Dutch Elite League, and a couple other guys that we knew, and loved it. Had an amazing season. And it wasn't even so much the hockey, which the hockey was awesome and that was so much fun, but the opportunity, like you, Matt, like you're seeing the world right now, it was a chance to kind of see, different parts of the world that, you didn't think was ever going to be in the cards. And it worked out really well is that a bunch of guys from home went. So myself, Justin Steinbach, who's, my son's godfather. Who else was there? Chad Murray was there. Mike Dawson, who was a roommate and a teammate at St. Mary's. Craig Wynot, who was an opponent. We played together all the way growing up, and he was at Dow. Matt Barnes, who was my goalie in Texas. So all of a sudden we're over in Amsterdam with 4 or 5 of my best friends, playing semi-pro hockey. So it was neat. It was a kind of like what you're talking about, your setup there. You get a place to stay. They give you a car. You get a little bit of money just to, feed yourself, but, you're not getting rich by any means. But one of the coolest parts of that league was that every 5 weeks or so, the national team would practice. And when the national team practiced, the imports would have the weekend off. So we had 10 imports on our team. And what would happen is we would, collectively as a group, we would, go to the airport, and there'd be the easy fly board, and you look and like, boys, where do you want to go today? We practice Thursday morning, get in the car, go to the airport, and literally walk in with our bag packed, like, where do you want to go? We went to Copenhagen, we went to Edinburgh, we went to London, went to Madrid, went to Barcelona, saw, 7 or 8 really cool, different, unique cities while being over there. So then we just have to be back for practice on, Monday evening, and we wouldn't miss a beat. So, being with some of your best friends, being in a really cool city like Amsterdam, and then the opportunity to travel to so many other, cool cities was pretty special. And a year that I'll never forget. I mean, the memories from that are, will last a lifetime.
Man, that is something. Okay, so I want to transition a bit into the business side, the career side of your hockey life. And the first thing, though, I noticed, I was looking through your LinkedIn profile to get a kind of a timeline, and I noticed a Maritime Athletic Group. And I'm just curious about that, what your role was there, and what did you learn there, and how did you even get involved in that?
Yeah, you know what, that was a fun time. That was Tyler Nogler and myself started off our own little hockey development group, kind of one of the private groups in that, we operated obviously out of Halifax. We were the Halifax Junior Mooseheads. So we did the spring hockey. And then we also, dabbled in some private on ice training. We used to rent the ice at Centennial Arena every morning for a couple hours, and we'd have kids come over and skate, and we would just kind of put them through the motion. Actually, Nathan McKinn was one of our regulars that was there almost on a he was there every morning, working his tail off, hardest worker on the ice every single time. So an opportunity to kind of work with a few of the, the local players at home. We had started to dabble into the opportunity of starting some sort of hockey development program attached to an academic institution, right? Kind of something like Newbridge became, and a couple of other schools that you've got, locally back there, where you get the academics and the athletics kind of married together. And we were really close to doing that. And then the opportunity for me in Tampa came up, and I jumped at that, so kind of stepped away from that job. And I know Tyler kept going, and he's still going. Does a great job with developing a lot of young hockey players there in Nova Scotia.
All right. Well, I want to ask you about Tampa in a second here, but I would like to mention this data van, just because, how did you get involved with that? What is data van? I understand some software, and I'm curious how your experience there informed your future work.
I'll tell you, it was my father's software company. He was a former teacher, former principal. And when he was going through the ranks, realized that there was no real software used to manage a school, whether it be report cards, attendance, behavior, all those things that come along with, managing the student database. And, when he retired, he kind of tackled that, and, I jumped on board. I think I was the only employee for a little while, and, I didn't know anything what was going on, and we had a lot of fun. And he turned it into, something that, really is established now. Actually, he's out of it, and my sister now runs the company and has taken it even to new heights. So it's fun, like a little family business that my father started, poured everything into, and really was the reason why there was success. And then now it's turned into my sister's career, and she's running the company as well. So dabbled in it a couple different times. But for me, that was his passion. It wasn't mine. I wanted to be involved in the game in some capacity. So, when the Tampa opportunity came up, it was hard to turn down. It was tough to say goodbye, but it was hard to turn down.
Yeah. So with that Tampa, was there a bit of Tampa before and after that, or was it just all after? I know you had a stint in Metro Marauders as well in there, but
yeah. So I was in Tampa for about 5 or 6 years. Moved back home for a year. That's where I got involved with the Marauders and working with Troy Ryan and John Patterson. We had a lot of fun there in the Tier 2. And obviously was working with my father then as well. And then, I was home for about a year, and then an opportunity came back in Tampa. So I came back down. So kind of 2 stints down here, kind of split up by a quick 1-year hiatus back up in Nova Scotia.
Okay. Well, how was it that you got the Tampa opportunity in the first place?
It's a good story, long story. I'll try to give you the short version. Obviously being a hockey player, you dream of the NHL, right? That's all I ever dreamed about. You always look to be there on the hockey side or hockey ops side, and never thought you'd be on the business side. But one summer, back in 2006, Brad Richards, who used to play for the Lightning, good friend of mine, him and I kind of grew up through hockey schools together over in PEI. Mm-hmm. He was in Halifax for a night, and we were sitting in my living room, probably after midnight, and probably one or two more beers we probably should have had. We think we'd overserved ourselves that night, but I said, listen, man, I'd love to work in the NHL. And he said, well, I'll see what I can do. And I'm like, hey, what does that even mean? So he introduced me to a guy by the name of Bill Wickett, who actually just left our company last week after being here for almost 25 years. My mentor and the person that I owe everything to. Richie introduced me to him. So I called him one day. I said, Mr. Wickett, my name is Matt Hill. I'm a friend of Brad Richards. I live up here in Nova Scotia, and I'd love to work for the Lightning. And he asked me what I wanted to do. And I said, I don't even know. Like, I just, I want to work in the NHL. And he said, well, there might be a job in tickets. And I was like, tickets, what does that even mean? Like 50-50? Like what is the tickets? As a hockey player, you're very naive to think that they just open the door, turn the lights on, and everybody shows up and there's this product, right? That takes place. Well, you come to find out there's a whole machine that runs the business behind it. So, Wick introduced me to a guy in the ticket sales world. I was 28. Most of the guys in entry level are 22, 23. So I left my job with Datavan. I left my hockey development athletic group, and took a job making $13,000 a year selling tickets for the inside sales department for the Tampa Bay Lightning. And my whole goal was just to get down here and then find my way to the hockey ops. I always thought I wanted to be a scout or, a development guy or something on that side of the business. But I quickly found out that as soon as I got here, I'll tell you, the competitiveness of sales just it brought out the sports in me. And I just, you wanted to be the top sales guy. You wanted to, make more phone calls. You wanted to knock on more doors. You wanted to set more meetings. You wanted to, you just wanted to sell more. And that was my drive to grow and be a part of this organization for a long time. So quickly had the opportunity to, work in a couple of different roles. And as I mentioned earlier, kind of a quick run home for a year. And then I was fortunate enough to come back. So I've been here, almost 15 years now. So it's kind of become home. I've seen a lot of different things come through this company. The original owner, I've gone through 3 ownership groups. The original owner was Mr. Davidson, who owned Pal Sports Entertainment. They bought the Lightning. So some of the top executives of Palace came down and started the Lightning here. He owned it for a number of years when they won the Cup in 2004. It was sold to Warren Coulis and Len Berry for a short stint for a couple of years. Had great relations with both of those guys. But then we had a guy by the name of Jeff Finnick buy the hockey team, who is a former hedge fund guy, ran the Magellan Fund up in Boston, who I will say, and I'll say till no one wants to listen to me anymore, is hands down the best owner in professional sports. He has given this team every single resource for success, whether it be on ice or off ice. He hired amazing people to come in and run the hockey side and the business side. And we went from a team that, was, a cellar dweller, with 4,000 or 5,000 season ticket members to now we are, it's hard to talk with pandemic going on right now, but going into that season, we've got, 15,000 season ticket members. We've been sold out for 248 consecutive games. The city here has, it's a non-traditional market, right? Like we're a hockey team in the South. So, you see Lightning flags everywhere now. You see Lightning logos everywhere. You see the brand everywhere. And it's all because of what he's done and just how he's engulfed himself into this community. I could tell you stories. I don't know where you want me to stop, but the things that he's done to make a positive impact on people here in Tampa, is just unbelievable, and very fortunate to work for a guy like him.
I say run with it for just a few minutes, because I do follow we were talking a little bit, I follow the NHL's Department of Player Safety, and I kind of have some things I do there, but in that capacity, I do follow a lot of NHL people, certain former players and stuff, but also mostly just fans, just general fans. And the Tampa Bay Lightning fans have never had a bad thing to say. They just seem to have like the ultimate fan experience. They enjoy the team so much, the ones I talk to. And it's really a credit, obviously, to some of the work you do. So I'm really kind of interested to hear more about what you're talking about.
Yeah. I could go on for a while. I'll start with this. So Todd Lewicki, who was our former CEO, he came here from the Seattle Seahawks. Genius, brilliant mind when it comes to sports marketing, but even a better human being, right? And he came in and he just taught us how to be gracious sellers. We are servants of the community. We're servants of our team. We're servants of our fans. Like, teaching us that, customer service will be at the forefront of everything. He brought in a guy by the name of Steve Briggs, who's now our CEO since Todd has left, who's also a brilliant sports marketer. And he has taken our brand to that next level. So a couple of things when we started here, obviously being a non-traditional market, one of the things that we used to, fight with 10 years ago before Mr. Vinnick bought the hockey team was, we'd be playing the Montreal Canadiens and the arena would be 60, 70, 80% Montreal Canadian fans, or when the Rangers are in town, or when the Bruins are in town, or when the, any of those original 6 teams. You got to remember we're a transient market, right? So there's a lot of people that are down here. Yeah. So the idea was born where we would sell a season ticket member. So Matt, you're going to become a season ticket member. You're going to get your 2 seats. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you a Lightning jersey, blue Lightning jersey. And when you wear that to the game, there's going to be an RFID chip in the sleeve. And if you go to the concession stand or the merch stand, you're going to get a discount because you've got your jersey on as a season ticket member. So what that ultimately did is it turned our building blue, right? And that was something that was really important right out of the gate, is we wanted to make sure that home ice was home ice. And, back in the day, it wasn't. And now it is. Like, if you come to a game now, like, it's blue, and it's so refreshing when you stand in that building, you see all the hard work that so many people have done, and you see our fans in our building watching our team. It's a pretty cool thing. The other program that I'll touch on, and just briefly, and
no, I love it.
Tell me if you want me to, but the other one is that a program called the Community Hero Program. And this was an idea that was dreamed up, where Mr. Vinnick wanted to find a way to make a positive impact in the community without him being directly involved, other than his funds. So what he did is he created this program where every home game, so 41 games a year, he gives away $50,000 check to a community hero. And a community hero could be anybody. It's anyone who's doing something in the community that's making a positive change. So someone wouldn't, Josh wouldn't nominate you. Josh Boulton, he's a community hero because of X, Y, and Z. And you get awarded this grant. So you come to the game, you're up in our Jable Community Hero Suite, a great partner of ours. During the second TV time out of the first period, we tell your story. So you're brought onto the Lightning Vision. One of the players introduces you and tells the whole story about what you've done in this community to, make a positive impact. Give you a $50,000 check, and then you take that $50,000 and give it to your charity of choice or charities of choice. So you think about that. We've been doing that for 10 years. That's over $20 million. The amount of people that have been impacted by that program, both the heroes, but even more importantly, the charities, it's reached so far. And then Mr. Vinnick gets into the playoffs. He's like, let's do $100,000 a game for this round. Let's do $150,000. Like, it just, the guy taught us, and it was taught to us by Todd and by Steve Briggs, that, we're a community asset. And, whatever we give to the community will give back tenfold. And Mr. Vinnick, built the perfect business model of creating an organic relationship between a community and a sports team. And this is the model, and it worked. And it's been fun to play a little bit of a part in it. But really just kind of watch it, evolve, and from where it was to where it is now. He won a Stanley Cup, and, even though it's COVID, but to watch Mr. Vinnick, raise that cup over his head, there wasn't a person that wouldn't have done that. Like, that's all they wanted, for him to win that cup, just because of all the things he has done for us in this community.
Wow.
That's amazing. The passion you speak with, like, obviously the pride you feel from it. And can you picture this guy, folks, as on the ice with that kind of passion? Like, you just want to be around. And it's funny, you say every town you've been to, you kind of loved, right? I just don't feel like you'd be able to have a negative experience, like whatever you put yourself into, you're going to try and take the positive. I love that about you. And the way it comes across here in this interview is awesome.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Those are kind words.
That occurred to me at the same time, Josh, when he said that every place he's been, he loved, because I experience a lot of people in Korea come here and they say, it's the experience is always directly related to their own, what they bring to it, right? They want to be back home because Korea sucks. And then it's like, they want to, and then Korea's awesome. And then this place is better. And it's you, right? It's not the place. And you can enjoy every place. There's something to find good in every place, and good people are able to find it. Maddie, I want to ask you obviously more about your work, because I'm quite fascinated by this whole business side and this kind of stuff you're talking about. Just before we get there, though, I do have to point out, you can see obviously Stevie Y on here. Yeah. He's my childhood hero. And he was the GM there for a while. And I just wonder, you remember the first time meeting him, and what was your relationship with him throughout his time there? That's fascinating.
You know what? I'll tell you the easy way to say, he's one of the greatest hockey players ever played the game. He's in that conversation, that top 10 or whatever. He's a better human. That's the coolest part that I can tell you about Steve Yzerman. He has time for everybody, or pass him in the hallway. He was always up for a quick chat. And, a lot of times when you're of that level, a lot of times you get asked questions. Steve always asked us questions. Like, he wanted to know, how's my wife? How's my son? Like, what are some, how are these people doing? Like, that was the part that, always amazed me about him. And, he just has that way, when he walked, he was, he commanded respect, but never expected it. You know what I mean? Like, he just was a guy that, everybody kind of looked to as, what's he got to say? One funny story, and our former CEO, Todd Lewicki, tells a story all the time, but when we were introducing the new jersey, the new Lightning Bolt, which we're so proud of, the new mark that we designed, 10 years ago. One of the things you always have to do is a TV test. Like, how does it look on TV, right? So I was one of the few guys in the office that played. So I was always the dummy that had to, get dressed in the gear and just do laps and celebrate goals and hit the boards and all these sorts of things to, kind of see how the jerseys, the numbers, all the logos, how it's going to appear, on TV during the broadcast. And the story goes that Todd's showing Steve and a couple other hockey ops guys in his office about it. And, Steve saying, sitting there very quietly, not saying anything. Todd's like, what do you think? That guy's got to bend his knees more. Like, so Todd comes around my office and he's like, Steve says you don't bend your knees enough. And it's kind of become a running joke between him and I, over the years. It's a story he always brings up. So got to work on my knee bend. I was exhausted. I'd done 18 laps trying to get the test done.
And was he unaware it was you at the time that he said that? Or was he really just saying that guy needs it? Or was he saying Matt Hill's there and he wanted to make a joke?
Yeah, I don't, that's a good question. I don't know if he knew it was me or not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's something.
But you got his number up there, man. He's a good role model. I always talk to my son about good role models, people that you can look up to and kind of aspire to be like. And, I had his poster on my wall when I was a kid, and he was a role model of mine. And the cool part was when you get to know him and meet him, like, he lives up to all those expectations.
Mm-hmm. That's a good kind of segue into one of our other questions we had was, some of the perks that you have working there. And we were thinking, as a person who played, it would be kind of cool to get a chance to go on the ice and do things like that with your kids and things like that. And there's a good example there, which was also a very interesting business. Again, it's things we don't think about as consumers. You don't think about testing the jersey for the TV. Like, that was an interesting story too. But I mean, like, that experience of being the guy to actually test this kind of, what other perk have you had?
Whew, you know what? Being a Canadian kid, man, for me, like, it's, I still get to go to the rink every day. That's my job. And I don't take that for granted at all. Like, it's something that I cherish and I look forward to. When I first started here, I found myself poking my head in and watching morning skate more than I do now. Just kind of being around. And I had a couple of friends that were on the team at the time. Now the team is, it's a lot younger team, and obviously I haven't had as much interaction with them as I did, when I first came down here. But as far as perks are concerned, like, I always try to explain to people, like our job is 9 to 5. We work 8 till 6 or, 7 to 10. Like, I mean, it doesn't stop, on the business side, but then we execute our product when the rest of the world's off, right? Evenings, weekends, and holidays. Like that's, so we're also expected to be, at all those events because that's when our clients are there. That's when we activate. That's when all the brands come to life. So, some look at it as, man, I got to work on the weekend. For me, it's like, man, I get to work at a hockey game tonight, and when you walk into a building and the anthem's being sung and, there's 20,000 people standing up and, you score a goal and the roof comes off the building. And in our building, we've got Tesla coils that fire off lightning bolts, like, or the horn goes, like, those are things that, they bring you alive and make, that's when the hair stands up on your arms, like, it did when you were a little kid. So, I don't know if I answered your question about perks, but, for me, just working in this industry and for this team and with the teammates that I've got, I wouldn't change it for anything. I've got the group that I work with, day in and day out are unbelievable people. And we've got a small group, but we've been together a long time and it's been neat that, I think there's 5 of us that collectively, got 55 years of work together, so we know each other so well. We've all gotten married. We've all had kids. Like we've all kind of grown up together and, they're some of my best friends and it's fun to be able to go to work every day with, with all these people.
I think you answered it pretty well. I mean, it sounds like the whole job is one big perk, for you. That's kind of what I want to see. It's great that you're so happy in it, and obviously it gives you a lot of joy and the passion you show into it. So that's exactly the kind of answer I was looking for. And it makes me really happy for you.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
The people of the Tampa Bay fans that I follow online on Twitter, especially, are just like beside themselves with how well that team is run. Like, and like I said, fans don't usually notice that sort of thing. And as a player, you think, well, like you said, as a player, you just show up and play. But you can only just show up and play if your organization is run well, because otherwise you'd be noticing those pitfalls of things that happen, right? So, to be part of that and to make it so that all the players have to do is show up and then thrive, that's a pretty special thing.
And it's unbelievable. And it also has helped us on the hockey side, right? Because players want to play here. There's a reputation now that, you're going to get treated the best by any owner in Tampa. So it's helped recruit. Now, Julian Breezewell has done an unbelievable job of taking what Steve Yzerman built and then added some really important pieces to win a Stanley Cup, plus no state tax in Florida and the weather's not too bad. So if you got to get your wife or your girlfriend, you want to go live somewhere, like, so Tampa's become a real destination for players to come to now, which only helps the on-ice product, which the one thing I didn't tell you is that doesn't matter how smart you are on the business side, when the team wins, you all look like a genius. The hot dogs taste better, the beer's colder, the seat's more comfortable. Like winning solves all problems, right? Like that's the ultimate business driver. But when you marry the two, a successful team and a good business model, that's where you can really have some success.
Big time. How would you describe, I mean, you've pretty much given it to us, but I wonder if you want to sum up maybe, how do you describe the culture of Tampa Bay Lightning?
Culture, good question. I mean, that's something that we talk about a lot. And when you talk about culture, you can look at it from 2 perspectives. I think one is like staffing. How's the culture of the team, the employees in the office? And then 2 is just what's the culture around the hockey team in the community? I can start with the community. I mean, the culture there is top notch, first class, world class. The term we always like to use, and it was coined by our owner, was, we want to be world class. He said that in his first opening statement, press conference that he had, and he said world class. And we kind of went through that for a number of years. And he told us, 5 or 6 years ago, you know what? He was proud. He said, I think you guys have achieved world class. So now we're going to go world class plus. And that's sort of become our moniker, is that we want to be not really sure what that is, but, to the outside world. But if you're inside our building, like, we know what world class plus is. That is the ultimate fan experience. We got to make sure that when that guest, from the moment they receive their tickets to the moment they park their car and they come through the door, they get, through the security, they get to their seat, they get to the restroom, everything has to be perfect, in how we treat those guests. So that culture is something that's really important that we try to create for every fan. As far as in the offices, right now is a tough time. it's a really difficult time for us. And I think it's for all industries, but, the sports industry in particular, with just everything we've had to deal with, with COVID. Actually, just texting with couple of my teammates last year at this time, we were in Toronto, actually, on a trip that we were celebrating a goal that we had hit. And we're sitting on the airplane and scrolling through Twitter, just about to take off to come back down to Tampa. And that's when the NCAA started talking about playing with no fans because of COVID. And we're like, what? And we were supposed to host the first 2 rounds of the NCAA basketball tournament in our building, Amalie Arena, that weekend. So we're panicking. We're like, wait a minute, we can't not have fans. Like, it's all sold. Like, we're ready to go. Like, it's teed up and ready. And then by the time we landed, I talked to, Bill Wickett, who I mentioned earlier, and he had just gotten off the phone with someone in the NBA saying they were about to pull the pin in a couple hours on their fans. And I'm like, Wick, is this really happening? And it did. The next day, we were supposed to play the Philadelphia Flyers, 9:00 to cancel morning skate, 11:00 to announce the game was canceled. And then, it was from there on. So there was a major shift in our industry on that day. We went from being on a trajectory to have a really good financial year to basically the bottom dropping out. And, when you talk about culture, we were really concerned about everyone's health and well-being, because now all of a sudden, everyone who used to come to this fun atmosphere where you work in sports and you hang out in the office and you get to see everybody every day, to now everybody have to be home and everyone's got to be back, working in their home offices. We've got a lot of young staff that, don't have families, and they're all of a sudden, holed up in a, 1-bedroom apartment downtown Tampa without friends, right? So everyone's health and wellness, mental health is such an important topic right now. It was something that, from a culture perspective, we had to be very cognizant about and make sure that we handled it the right way. We're getting through it now. We're going to have fans on Saturday night this week. Yep. And I can tell you, talking about culture, it's lifted right now. There's a little buzz. Everyone's kind of a little skip in their step again because, we're only going to have 3,800 fans, but we're going to have at least some fans in the building. We're going to raise the banner, which, normally would happen with 20,000 people in the building would be going crazy. So it's going to be different. It's going to be weird, but it's still going to be special. And, we're going to get the opportunity to have the people that we work with, for as long as we have to be there, hopefully to celebrate that all together, which I think will just continually help raise culture and, get us back to where we need to be.
Beautiful.
One other kind of point I was curious about, and without diving too deeply, I guess, into specific business details, is how much of a sharing of ideas is there between the other professional franchises in Tampa, the Rays and the Bucks, and how do you feel the Lightning differ in that route from them, I guess?
I've got some great friends that, work for the Rays and the Bucks. There's some really good friends. Actually, one of the ladies that I work with, husband works for the Rays. So we're all tied at the hip. We've got 3 pretty differently distinct products. The Rays is baseball over in St. Pete. The Bucks, they're a staple. They've been here forever, right? Like it's a Southern market, it's a football market. And then you look at our team and it's, we've really developed it in the last 10 years. So I think we're all a little different, but I think we all do things, pretty well. We share a little bit. But I tell you where more of the sharing goes on is with our industry counterparts in like markets in our industry, right? So actually I have a call every Wednesday at 1:00 where there's, 7 teams, myself, Pittsburgh, Nashville, Minnesota, Arizona, Rangers, Ottawa, and we talk every Wednesday for an hour, 1:00, and it's just, what are you doing? How are you doing? What's working? What's not? So, we always joke in this industry, it's, got to do R&D, rip off and do better, right? Like you just try to take an idea that you've got from someone else and, put your own little spin on it and, try to execute, with your flair as opposed to what the other team might do.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. Man, I'm going to go back to something you said about when you were early on at your Tampa experience. You used to watch the morning skate and things like that. I'm just wondering how much you do get to interact with players and if there's a particular player or story that might stand out for you.
Yeah, you know what? So when I first came down, that's when Brad Richards still played here, right? So and we were buddies, and he was kind of the whole reason I came down and kind of connect me with the business end. So I got to spend some time with him, and some of the older guys. I played golf with Vinny played golf with Vinny, Brad Richards, and Freddie Modine, who I had never met before. Just a couple of weeks ago, he was in town. And one of the Swede, right? He's one of the nicest humans I've ever met. Just amazing guy. Mm-hmm. Funny stories. Well, I would say this. So at Bill Wickett's actually going away party, he just left the organization. He's going to work for Nashville as their chief marketing officer. Unbelievable opportunity for him to go up work with Sean Henry, a former good friend of his and, former COO down here, who's a CEO now in Nashville. But a coach, a guy by the name of Craig Ramsey. You guys remember that name, Craig Ramsey? Yep. Played in the league for years, coached forever. Ended up, he's over in Slovakia now, coaching actually the national team. And Rammer used to have a little spot, outside of the arena that was kind of cornered off with a little ribbon, where part of his deal post game, he'd go over there and have a couple beers with him and his wife, and Richie'd always go, and I'd go down with him and a couple others, and we'd always, listen to Rammer stories. And I'll tell you, you talk about a guy that's been everywhere and the things that he's done and seen. You can, it's kind of a joke where you can light the campfire and just, sit there and let him hot stove and tell stories all night. So that was something that was kind of fun, way back in the day. But now it's more just some of the older guys that, are back as alumni. Dave Anderchuk works with us. He's our, one of our vice presidents. I sit on the executive group with him, and great guy, real good guy. So the Brian Bradley, recognize that name. He still floats around the office every day, scored 50 goals, one of the original players in the Lightning during the expansion draft. So there's a few guys around. But I truthfully, it's the business side is separate, to keep the worlds, they coexist, but they're pretty separate.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Well, as to the business side, I'm curious about, and fan experience. I'm curious about what is the difference between a suite and a box, and what are the various products that you have that, that I can buy, or, well, not me, but people, with money could do.
Yeah. Okay. So, premium seating is kind of the world that I started in, and I kind of, live in that world with the group sales. It's kind of, two worlds that kind of, come together because they're, groups of people entertaining other clients or guests or friends or family, whatever it might be. The suite is the traditional suite. In our building, it's, it comes with 18 tickets. This is all, I'll talk all pre-COVID world. Everything's kind of changed since then. Your standard would be an 18-person suite, comes with your food and beverage, you get some parking passes, and the whole 9 yards. It's kind of the premium experience, place for, you can watch a game. In our building, we've also got some pretty significant clubs. We have a place called the Chase Club, 1,400 person club area. It's kind of the white glove, red carpet type of area where all your food and drinks are included, beer, wine, soda. I say soda now. I live down here, but I'm still pop at heart.
I say soda.
It kills me every time I say that. But it's part of the way it is here, right? But all inclusive food. You name the food and something you can think of, I guarantee you'll find it in the club somewhere that you can consume that night. So it's one of those really cool products where, as an owner, you can have 4 tickets, you can hand them off to 2 clients so they can take their wives to a game. They're not out of pocket at all. They're going to eat and drink all night long and have an unbelievable time, and they're not out of pocket. So that's another premium area we have in our building. We also have what's called the VIP lounge, which are for the 2 front rows. So row A right on the glass, row B, the row right behind it. Again, you've got access to, a private club where you can get your food and drinks included. But I'll tell you, one of the crown jewels, I think, in our building right now is the ConnectWise Loge. So it's a Loge box. This was probably, I think we just came up on 5 years with it now. But we were, when we kind of dreamed up what this product looked like, we wanted to create the ultimate watching experience, but also have the socialization part as well. So we created this area where you've got your own little private, box with, 4, 6, or 8 people, and you're in this beautiful leather chair. It's like an office chair, so you have that area. But then at the top, there's a club area, right? So you can go up there and get your food and your drinks, so you can mix and mingle and interact and, get to, build relationship with your clients. But even more importantly, meet some of the other guests in there. You never know where business could spin off from, right? That's the whole objective behind these products. But in-seat service where, your server will bring your drinks to you, your food to you. You get to learn what their likes are. Matt, you're a beer drinker, you want to drink it out of the bottle, and Josh, you're more of out of a mug. We'll make sure that that's how it's presented for you when you arrive. To create those customized experiences. Everyone's got a little tablet there that they can watch TV. We got to remember we're still in Tampa, right? So people want to watch a football game or a baseball game. So you can have their own little personal tablet to watch another game, or what we hope they do is watch the in-game feed or Lightning Vision that's going on. But you can create, and one of the cool parts is we put a company logo on that. So when a guest arrives, you're a guest of, XYZ company, you kind of create that custom experience. So the premium world has changed, and it was changing significantly before COVID. And I think now it's going to shift even more in it probably maybe back to where we were. I thought we were going to this area where it was going to be more, communal spaces. Everybody wants to just kind of, throw a big party. Like we'd rather put 20 people in one space and mix and mingle. You can chat with, your friends and, guests or clients, whoever you might be there. But now with COVID, we almost have to put walls back up and separate people. Right. So in the short term, I think that's going to be sort of what we're going to have to, kind of evolve our products into. We've got more plexiglass in our building than, most rinks have anywhere right now, just to keep people, safe, because that's important. But hopefully once we kind of get past this COVID, we can, start to evolve a little bit more in the premium world, because sky's the limit. We sit down and, it's one of the things we always challenge ourselves. And when we talk to other industry counterparts, is like try to dream up what the next premium product is going to be. What is it? Like, are we going to try to replicate someone's dining room, or living room, like you want couches, you want your own little bar there. Like it's sky's the limit what you can come up with. And people are willing to pay for that exclusivity and that experience that, is second to none. So that's, we never have a finished product. We're always trying to evolve and come up with what that next product might be.
Well, I would hope so, man. And you just mentioned exclusivity. It was my next question on here, is that you are selling exclusivity. And I just wonder how you balance that, peak selling out. You're sold out all the time, and let's just sell more, but yet you have to maintain that exclusivity. How do you balance that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, in our industry, you grow through retention, right? You have to retain. Like if every year you sell a bunch of new product to new clients, and at the end of the year they go away, then you start over, right? So if you can get into a position where you start, getting some longer term, so you can get someone that, wants it exclusively for, 3 years, then you get them in locked in, and then you can always backfill like that, that 5 to 10% that drops off every year, just for whatever reason. There's always some reason why some go away. So the trick is to keep that pipeline full. And, when it comes to exclusivity, that's what it's all about. These guests want to be treated right, and they want to be treated. Our job is to make sure we make our clients look good. So Matt, you own a suite, you're coming into our building, you're bringing some of your top clients in. We want to know who that person is, so that when they walk through that building, we can greet you and them, have a gift for you, bring you into the suite. We can, that's where Dave Anderson comes by and says hello, or Brian Bradley comes by and says hello. Like, you create experiences. Or even, again, pre-COVID, you've got a really big clients like, hey, when they're coming, let me know. We'll take you down onto the players bench, and they'll literally sit on the bench for warm up and watch warm up from there, or get them down by the dressing room, and, the players would walk out and get the high five tunnel going. So the kids are there, and they're hammering. And I'll tell you, for us, like, it's as important to make the kids feel good. You make the kids feel good. You got the parents, in a really good spot. So, we try to create a lot of those experiences.
I know all about that. I focus on kids when I'm parents, and it's just fun anyway. But it really is what it's all about. I get that. So let's just talk pre-COVID for a sec. When I ask you, what are the biggest challenges in your market? Because you say it's a non-traditional market. Obviously, it's becoming non-so. But how do you address those challenges? What is it being in Florida, Tampa, that you wouldn't have in other traditional markets?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think our biggest challenge, and I feel like we've overcome it a lot, but we still deal with it, is the out of town markets, teams coming in, especially being in Florida, being a place where, a lot of, people come to retire and spend winters down here, right? So any of those northern markets, they come down here. And, one of the things that we end up having one of our biggest challenges, Matt, you're down here as a fan. You're from, say, Toronto, so you're a Leafs fan. But now that you're down here, you become a Lightning fan. Yeah. But we made a bad example. But that one game that the Leafs are in town, you wear your Leafs jersey that game. And like, I want you to wear that Lightning jersey every game, or if you're from Chicago and you're a diehard Lightning fan now, but when the Blackhawks are in town, like you wear the Blackhawks t-shirt under your Lightning jersey. And we want to, and we're only 25 years old, right? So we don't have a generation yet of people that have grown up as fans. So right now, one of our biggest initiatives is, grassroots. And, we've got a massive community hockey program. Jay Feaster, if you recognize that name, he was the GM of the Lightning when they won in 2004. He was the GM up in Calgary for a little bit. He's come back and he runs our community hockey program, and he's done an unbelievable job. And what we've done is we have gone out to all the schools, and we've got some, I don't know, every time I had like 500,000 sticks and balls have been put in hands of kids in this market that had never had a hockey stick before, so we're working on that fan so that in 20 years from now, when that fan is now buying tickets, they're only a Lightning fan. They don't wear their Chicago jersey when the Blackhawks are in town. So, I think, talk about challenges. That's one of the biggest things is to kind of, change that habits of, where your home is. And listen, we're not asking for anybody to forget their roots, because obviously you gotta have those strong. But our biggest challenge is to make sure if you're a Lightning fan, you're a Lightning fan, 365 days a year.
Big time. Got it, man. Well, how about this? And what are the challenges now with COVID? What does it look like? I mean, give us some of what that looks like in the past year for you.
Boy, man, I'll tell you, we've started and stopped our business, 3 or 4 different times, speaking selfishly from the premium world. We've got 120 clients that are under contract, and, those contracts, we're not able to deliver on what we can't hold up our side of the bargain. We just don't have the product to be able to put on. So we have to continue to renegotiate those deals. We've done that 3 times now. And each time we've tried to start, we haven't been able to. Happy to report that we have renegotiated them all right now. We're about to restart on Saturday, the 13th. I don't know when this will actually air, but that'll be our first game back with fans. So that's going to be big. The other part that's really difficult is in this market. I mean, we've got 15,000 season ticket members, but we can only have 3,800 people in the building on Saturday night when we start, and we're going to raise the banner. So it's impossible to make everybody happy. There's only 3,800 happy people. The rest of them are going to be really disgruntled. And, they're really difficult conversations to have, because we understand where they're coming from and the passion they have for our team and the support that they've given us for so long. It's just, we're really limited on what we can do. And it's just impossible to make everybody happy. And that's one thing that, we're really, really struggling with, because, we're customer service orientated, customer service first. And this is something that, people aren't real happy about, and it's a challenge, and we're going to get through it. We're going to try to get as many people out to as many games, at least a game or 2 through the course of the season, just so they can, be back in the building. They can cheer on the boys and, be a part of what we've been able to create these last 10 years. And then hopefully, we drop the puck next season, we're back into a bit more of a normal landscape, and we can have 20,000 people in there. And, back in the day where you'd walk into a building, that's one of the coolest parts about sports. You walk into a building, like you don't have any political affiliation. You don't have any religious affiliation. Like, you're there to watch a game, and everyone's there for that same reason. And the 3 of us who don't know each other could all sit down, have 3 seats all by ourselves, sitting beside each other, share an armrest. And within 10 minutes of that game, and we score a goal, we're high-fiving each other. Like, strangers. And regardless of their background or where they came from, that's cool. And that's one of the things that we're so excited to get back to. We're not there yet. It's going to take some time. But we're going to do it the best way possible, in a world-class plus manner, the way Mr. Vinnick expects us to do it. So we'll get there.
I love the sound of that, and world class plus, and also just what you described. That's what I'm looking forward to in watching these games. I can feel it even through the TV when there are people there. I'm enjoying arriving at the game even more. So I hope it for you and for everybody who just loves sports and loves hockey. We got to get this back on the rails here. But I wonder if any of this is similar to the lockout year. Was that 2013 maybe? Is there any similarities to it? Because you just couldn't deliver, I guess.
Yeah, but we couldn't deliver, so it was difficult. So, we had fans that, missed out on some hockey, but the difference was when we started back up, the building was full, right? Like we could accommodate everybody. What we can't do now is accommodate everyone. And that's the thing that's beating us up like nothing before, just trying to make sure we can, take care of as many of our stakeholders. Like these fans have been through it with us since the beginning. Some have been here for 25 years, the ones that have been here for the past 10 years, there's been ebbs and flows. And, now you win a Stanley Cup and now you can't come back to the building. That's different, but we'll get there.
Well, and that's it. I want to ask you about that cup run, because again, I can imagine from your perspective, you're like, oh man, what a great season. And we just, God, I mean, what could we do with this? But there must have been a lot of positive in it. You won a cup. And can you tell me what it was like from your perspective when, cup run?
Yeah, it was magical, when it all started, and next thing you know, we're going to these bubbles and up in Toronto and Edmonton, and, it was all new. We were wondering how this was all going to play out. And I can tell you that John Cooper and Julian Breezeball had our team ready to go. When they dropped the puck, there was no question. That first game, I don't know if you guys remember, but we played Columbus in the first game, 5 overtimes. And the year before, after winning the President's Trophy, it was a quick one. That could have been that was a major shift when we won that game, in my opinion. In that fifth overtime, and from there weren't many bumps in the road. It was fun to watch. Being back in Tampa while it was taking place, typically we would be taking guests and clients to the playoff games. Like that's our bread and butter, right? Like you take a guest up to, in 2015 up to Chicago for the Stanley Cup finals, or, all those different, runs that we made. So we try to come up with some creative ways to engage our stakeholders down here in Tampa. Obviously being health and safety conscious, because you just can't open up. Like when we played in 15 in that game 6 that we lost, we had 20,000 people in our building watching the game on Lightning Vision, right on our scoreboard in the arena. We couldn't even do that. So we did very limited, small watch parties, select groups that we could have in there that people could buy tickets. But one of the cool products that we built and was new that wasn't ever been able to done before, because, you don't usually get access to the Lightning dressing room because obviously it's being used. Well, they're on the road. So what we did is we created the ultimate VIP watch experience. And we would sell the Lightning dressing room for a group of, 10 to 12 to 14 to come down and watch the game from there. So they would arrive, park in the players' parking lot, they'd walk in through the marshalling area, where, behind the scenes where not many people get to go to, hang out in the family room, and, meet Dave Vanderchuk would come by, and then he would take him, actually Brian Breesman, one of our PR guys, would do a little tour of the arena, start to finish, of the dressing room, start to finish. Then they'd walk into the Lightning dressing room and everyone have a custom jersey hanging there with their names on it. So they're taking pictures in the room, and the set for Fox Sports is set in that dressing room. So they're all the broadcasters are there, and then they would eat a 5-course, high-end dinner in the Lightning weight room, down in the weight room, and then they'd come out in the players' lounge and watch the game. So, it was a chance to engage some of our clients. It was a chance to drive a little bit of revenue. But what it helped selfishly for me and a couple of other guys that were involved in it, we were at the rink every night watching the games with them and being a part of that. So the energy was there. And when, we won, in game 6, that was pretty cool to kind of be in the building. And, it wasn't what we'd all dreamed about it being, but it was still pretty cool. It's pretty special. So good run. You're, Stanley Cup champion. So it's pretty cool.
That is something. Holy. I have just another one back on pre-COVID times again. A lot of these arenas, especially in California and all that, they have a lot of celebrity regulars. Does Tampa have any celebrity regulars that go to the games? Any Drakes? Yeah,
we do. So our CEO, Steve Griggs, we host a suite every night. Suite 49 is what we internally call it, but that's where we have, we can put any guests or VIPs in there. And there's usually some golfers or some baseball players, football players, couple movie stars have come in. You do see a few from time to time. John Travolta's been to a couple games. And a few others. It's been, it's a cool part of it too, getting a chance to see those people.
All right, man. I want to ask you, what does your job look like day to day? And pre-COVID, or probably is best, but what does your job look like, man? Like, This is all fascinating to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nothing too glamorous. I show up at 8 o'clock, sit in an office all day and go home at the end of the day. A lot of meetings, now Zooms. I mean, I spend more time, I think we all do collectively, staring at a computer screen. I think everyone's got a little Zoom fatigue now. I think people are itching to kind of have some, meetings in person, which we do now. So when we first COVID hit, we all went home. Everybody worked from home remotely, for the first, 4 or 5 months. And then we slowly started coming back, and myself and, a few others, we've been back for 5 or 6 months every day, just normalcy, leave the house and go to work and then come home. Like, you just get some sort of regular routine. So when, we're now into the office, it's, we'll have a, morning meeting where, executive team will get on a call and kind of, lay the plan for the week and all the updates. And then we all have our department meetings, and all the information is trickled down, and sort of everybody across the whole organization is up to speed on what the goals and initiatives might be for that day or for that week or the next quarter or next season, whatever it might be. And then we kind of roll from there. It's fun. I miss having everybody in the office, it's tough now. You spend a lot of time on the phone or on these calls. It's, human interaction. I think we all need it. Like, you got to be able to go up and walk to someone's office and have a conversation with someone. And now, you don't get that interaction all the time. So I think it's something that's important that we'll get back and hopefully get back here soon.
I hope so too. Yeah, it's a little fraction of a beat that you miss on the online. But I wonder, what do you enjoy most about your job? Is it the human interaction then, or how would you answer that? What do you enjoy most?
And I think, like I said it earlier, I think I still get to go to the rink every day, and still be involved in sports. It's not playing, but it's still part of the game. And the home games I love because I'm there and I get the opportunity to mix and mingle with a lot of our guests and our clients. But I get as excited to watch a road game from home on my couch with a glass of wine, just, as a fan, and the ebbs and flows of a hockey season, the wins and losses, even in the office, like, you feel those. The day after a win, everyone's an inch taller and got a little bit skip in their step. The day after a loss, like, we're all, we're heads down, we're just kind of shoulders are over, so for me, it's still being a part of that, watching the team, go through a hockey season.
Man, we feel that as fans, I tell you, that sometimes the way your team does affects your mood at your own day, how you interact with your family. There's something about it. So I can only imagine being part of that. And you say, like, you're not on the ice, but your job is a lot like being on a team, and, in it, for players, especially, not having that human interaction where you feed off the energy of the room. And, if one person's doing really well, all of a sudden you want to do better. You were talking about competition in the group before, like, you turn it into those mini competitions, and it feels like you're part of a game or part of a team again. And, so it's just funny that the atmosphere that we see on the ice in Tampa, you see that in the culture off the ice in Tampa as well. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, you nailed it. Like you said, as a fan, like, I'm a fan. Like, I'm a fan of hockey. I'm a fan of the Lightning, and I love to watch them play. So we're all fans at heart.
Big time. I'll tell you what, you're making me a fan of the Lightning too. You're a good salesman.
All right, we'll take it. Hey, listen, jump on the bandwagon. We'll take everyone we can.
Yeah. And I just like a lot of the teams. I like teams that are doing well, and I respect them all the time, and I like them. But I'm, like I'm saying, I'm getting invested here. But
right.
I'll tell you what, about just one thing to take us out before we move into a little bit of the personal stuff, your family life, and just a couple things, because we always like to see how everybody's doing. This is what we're doing on the show. But one is, did you always know that you wanted to be in sales, or even sales in hockey at all? And, I just wonder this because, yeah, you're shaking your head, because a lot of my students and, many young people think you have to have a career all mapped out, and it's all about entering the first step. Like, I thought you had a commerce degree or something like that. I forget, something like that. And then you go into step one. So what would you say to young people? Like, what are the elements to success in a fulfilling career? And then I'll throw this in to give it all at one package. How does hockey and sports prepare people for the world of business or life?
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Matt. No, that's good. To answer your question, no, I had no idea that I wanted to be in sales. I mean, I didn't, I went to St. Mary's, I got a human resource management degree, and, the degree was unbelievable. It was a big part of my life, but it wasn't what I had aspired to be as a professional afterwards. I believe that sports is a huge driver in creating people and preparing people for what life is like after sports are over. The ability to be a good teammate, the ability to work hard, the ability to communicate. And those are all skills we learn in that dressing room. And they don't happen on the ice. They happen in the room, right? You think of all the coaches that have made an influence on you and taught you what hard work is really like. Trevor Steinberg, I didn't know how to work hard until Steiny taught me, listen, you're going to be a marathon runner by the time training camp be over. But that's another story. So I do believe that sports are really what set, in my opinion, people up for opportunity, when you get into the real world. I think the competitiveness, and that's where I didn't know at the time, but I think that's where I think as in the sales world, the competitiveness of an athlete really shines through on the sales side, because that's a competition all day, every day. You're competing, against your coworkers to be the best, to close the most deals. You're finding out ways to, build relationships with clients and, turn them to friends, from partners. It's business and sports, I think, has a lot of crossover. So I love hiring athletes. I like people that, know how to compete, know how to communicate, know how to build a relationship. That's really, in my opinion, is what it's all about.
And right on. And I want to jump on that competition there. I think we have to add that it's healthy competition, because people have this impression that competition is always cutthroat, this and that, but it's competition with sportsman-like competition. It's with sportsmanship. 100%. Yeah. But yet it drives you, and you want to, I'm the sportsman, but I want to win, I tell you. Yeah. And so does John.
You want, as you would, you're sitting in a dressing room with your teammates, you want your teammates to have success, right? You want everyone in that room to have success. And when everyone in that room is having success, the team is having success. And that just raises everybody's game up. So, you're good. Thanks for calling that out, because that's exactly what I meant. It's competition, but it's also, as a team, because that's really where it starts and ends.
Yeah, big time. You raise the rest of the team, and then your hat trick's a lot sweeter, right?
Absolutely. Hey, it's way more fun celebrating 3 goals after a win.
Big time. Yeah. All right, man. Well, we want to move to a topic. Of course, everybody's favorite topic is their kids, and it's not just your kids, but I do want to ask you first about that. Just dadding, family life. You are a dad. When did you become a dad, and how has that been for you?
Yeah, man, it's the best job ever. I got a little guy, his name is Gwen. I told you guys earlier, I'll share with everyone here. He was an old teammate of mine that I played junior hockey with, in university with, in our first year in pro together. I mentioned earlier, Rob Gwynn, unbelievable guy, one of my better friends. So we played our last year in Texas, then kind of went off in different directions, like all kinds of hockey players do. We kept in touch, obviously, though. And then tragically, he passed away. He's almost 11 years ago now. So his last name is my son's first name. So it's kind of a, little meaning behind, where his name came from. And it's been neat. It's given me the opportunity to, connect with his widow, Brooke, and their little daughter. So it's been a neat. So, but I'll tell you, he's 7 years old now. Everybody says it goes fast. You don't believe it till you live it, and you realize how fast it really does go. But it's the best job in the world. We have a lot of fun. He's a cool little kid. He's well behaved. He's a neat little athlete too. He's been playing a lot of hockey and a lot of golf. So I'm busy. I'm his hockey coach and his caddy in golf. So I got to wear a couple hats there with him.
That's awesome. So you say you coach him. Do you have any other involvement in hockey yourself right now?
I don't play. I haven't played in a long time. We had a parent-child game the other day at the end of our season. Our season just wrapped up actually last week. So just coaching, but it's so fun and so rewarding. I know you're involved in it heavily as well. It's, Adam Holland, if you recognize that name, played in the NHL for 14 years. Him and I coached together with a couple other guys, John Naughton, and prom Heisler, like, and we just got we have fun. Like it's fun going to the rink, and we got this little group of, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, and, trying to teach them a little bit about the game of hockey, but more importantly, what it's like to be a good teammate and how to work hard and, enjoy some success. So season just wrapped up. We're actually heading to Nashville on a little select tournament with Gwyn's actual age group, the 2013s, next week. And then we'll put the hockey gear away and get the golf clubs out. And I'm ready for hockey to be over and looking forward to golf season beginning.
Sweet. About that, then, how much do you just enjoy living in Florida? Like and how is that kind of different from living in Nova Scotia or anywhere else? But what's up with life?
Yeah, I love it here. It's home now. I've been here as long as I've been, but it's never truly going to be home. Like, home is where my parents are in Bedford and Halifax. Like, those are roots that are really, really deep. I'll always bleed red, Canadian red. Like that's, it's funny. We sit here and, Olympics come on or, any type of international games come on. We're a house divided, but that's okay. But I'm really enjoying living in Florida. It's the weather is unbelievable. I mean, I wear shorts every day. So I can't complain about that. And it's a cool spot. Some really good people have gotten a chance to, build a pretty good network down here. So it's treated me well, and I'm happy with it here.
There was one thing I remember seeing on your social media. I can't remember how many years ago it was, but it was kind of a tale of two things for me, because it was pictures of your property because you were boarding up in preparation for a big storm coming through. But at the same time, you could see, boy, they're about to go through something, which is kind of weird just to feel the experience you have in Tampa. But at the same time, wow, look at the area he lives in. It's a nice property, and seemed like a nice area and all that. So I got to see like kind of both sides of things there in one shot.
That was a crazy time. It's really, there's only, since I've been here, that was the one time that, a hurricane was kind of coming our way. I mean, it's funny, I talk to my parents at home, and they get really nervous about these hurricanes that are coming. Like it's really like a snowstorm up north, right? Like it's just our version of it, at a different time of year. But that one was coming right at us, and, we got the plywood out and covered up all the windows, and, had some people from work come and sleep over. They slept in the closet, and, it was, we kind of all hunkered down and got through it, but we didn't lose any power, and it was fine the next day. It missed us, so fortunate. Obviously, a little south of us got hit a little bit harder, and you feel for them, and, we try to help, kind of get them back on their feet. But that was the one time where we had it coming right down the pipe. We thought it was coming right at us.
All right. Well, you say you bleed Canadian red, but you obviously bleed Bedford blue. Do you ever get home often?
Yeah. I mean, I've been home up until the pandemic. Usually get home at least once or twice a year. I've been taking my son for the last 3 or 4 years. We've gone to the hockey school over in PEI where I had grown up, and it was so actually a couple, my wife and I and a couple of friends from Tampa all would go up together with our kids and spend a few days in Halifax. Actually had the opportunity to play at Cabot a couple of different times now since I've been there. So that's always a treat. And then heading over to PEI and, staying downtown Charlottetown for a week is a great vacation that, we always have looked forward to and missed out last year, and fingers crossed we can do it this year. But, if not, we'll get home soon. Still, it's always fun to get home and see the boys.
Big time. Is there anything, final one before we move on to the final bit here, take us home? What are you looking forward to in the upcoming year and beyond? I can imagine a couple of things with COVID lifting, but.
Yeah, man, I'm ready to get back to normal. We're really, we need it. I think communities need it more than anything right now. I mean, sports are what are going to bring some of these communities back to life. There's a lot of people that are in some tough places, and, having sports as something that people can hang their hats on and kind of rally around, I think is so important for our community and all communities, across North America. So I'm really, really excited about that. And we're so close, and I can't wait to kind of have a jumping off point from there and really truly move forward. And selfishly, I'm really excited for golf season for my son. He's a good little player. I'll tell a proud dad moment story, because that's what we do as dads. But he, last year he, played in the local Tampa tour here. Tom Shea does an unbelievable job. And, you have to qualify for these different tournaments. You qualify to go to regionals or to states or if you qualify for the World Championships, you get to go to Pinehurst, which is up in North Carolina, which is golfer's paradise. And, he somehow found a way to qualify for that. So we went up to Pinehurst with him. And I think there were about 80 players in his age group, 6 and under, from all over the world. We played with kids from Thailand and China and Mexico and a bunch of North Americans. And, little guy ended up finishing 3rd overall. So 3rd in the World Championships up in Pinehurst. So I'm so excited for golf season to start back up. And, I get on his bag and I literally caddy for him in tournaments. He fires me once or twice a round if I give him a bad read or a wrong club. And, but then he rehires me. So we got a pretty fun relationship out there on the golf course.
All right. Gwyn is a stud. All right. That's awesome. And I guess you say sports bring communities back to life, and Tampa's got they got a winner there, so that's even better.
It does, and Tampa right now, even with the Bucks too, right? Like it's when they won heels of our Stanley Cup, and actually the Rays went right to the World Series, and the Rowdies, the soccer team here, went right to the finals. So it's I think they're calling it Tampa Bay or Selly City. They got all these different monikers and tags that they've got on the city right now, but. It's fun, when we won they had a boat parade, and the Bucks won and they did a boat parade, and it was neat to get people out and seeing them celebrate again. So hopefully we can ride that wave a little bit longer.
Okay, Matty. So we're going to move into, just to wrap us up here, we're going to end on some fun. You might've seen these one-timers. What we're going to do is Josh and I are going to feed you from either side, back and forth, and you're just going to get them away as quick as you can. Obviously, okay. My passes are going to have a lot sweeter sauce on them, but you just do what you can with it, whatever he gives you.
Josh is probably throwing off his backhand, though, eh?
Maybe. All right, so here we go. Who was your favorite player growing up?
Ooh, Wayne Gretzky.
All right, who was your favorite team?
Edmonton Oilers.
Me too.
Who's your favorite player in today's game?
In today's game? Oh, boy, that's a tough question because...
Big time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge Sidney Crosby fan. I'm very biased of that, just because I know him personally and understand sort of how he's made up and what his DNA is like. But I truly love watching our hockey team play. A guy like Kucherov or Stamkos or Braden Point, those guys, Victor Hedman, Vasilevsky, what those guys can do on a daily basis is pretty impressive. So I did not answer that one timer. I probably said too many words.
No, it's fine. We do it up. You do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
Along that line, who is going to win the Stanley Cup this year?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Who's going to win in Detroit tomorrow?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
I think so too.
Is it hard for you to root for Tampa against Edmonton these days? Since that was your childhood?
Not a problem whatsoever. I'll tell you, I'm not an Oilers fan anymore. I love watching Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl play hockey. Those guys are impressive, but I bleed blue, start to finish. Doesn't matter who they're playing.
All right, I get it, man, and I feel it too. Who was the best player you've ever played with and against?
Roddy McCormick.
Roddy.
I played with Roddy in St. Mary's for a short stint, and I'll tell you, some of the most fun I had playing hockey was with that guy. He could do it all.
All right.
There you go.
These are one-timers. Sorry, but we're jumping in the one-timers, Josh. I'm hacking this. I'm a drill buster. Sorry. Yeah. But Roddy, when I was home a few years ago, I was at his house in the backyard at a barbecue and all that, or like a fire pit thing and all that. He lives next door to one of my closest friends, Andrew Ilsley, or across the street now. Andrew moved there. But anyway, so kind of in touch with Roddy somewhat. Beauty.
Roddy, I'll tell you what, a great guy. He's always fun to see when you get home.
All right, let's jump back into the questions here. What team has the current best retro reverse jersey?
Oh, man. I like Colorado.
Yeah.
I like Colorado.
What is the proudest moment you've ever had as a player?
Proudest moment as a player?
These aren't softballs, buddy.
Softball? That's not a softball.
I said these aren't softballs, I said.
Oh, no, that's not a softball. Proudest moment as a player? I tell you, I mean, one of the more accomplishments, I think, was, the year in Amsterdam, our last year playing hockey, playing with Steiner and Chad Murray and Mike Dawson and Craig with a bunch of buddies, finishing off the season as a Dutch national champion. That was a pretty proud moment for me to be able to do that with those good buddies and in my last year of hockey.
Nice. Who was the funniest player you've ever played with?
Oh, Justin Steinbach.
All right, Steinbach. What up, buddy?
Steiner. He's a beauty. Still one of my best friends in the world. He's over in Milan now as a VP with Barilla Pasta, doing unbelievable things. Who would have thought, we would have found our ways to the parts of the world that we live in now, but still keep in touch with him. And obviously he's a godfather for my son.
Oh, wow. Steinbach, what's up, buddy? Yeah, another one of those good guys that just was always, one of the veteran players on SMU, always taking, treating me well and taking care of me. Beauties all around.
He was a beauty, all right.
There you go, Steiner. Where would you slot into the Tampa Bay lineup in your own fantasy?
In my own fantasy?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I like the way Yanni Gourde plays hockey. He's just gritty, gets his nose dirty, scores a few goals, plays good defense. I'm a big Yanni Gourde fan.
So you would play on his center him or be a winger with him?
I'd go to battle with him. Put him on the wing. Let's go.
Okay.
You've seen a lot of different levels of hockey. What is the craziest thing you've ever seen in a game?
Craziest thing I've ever seen. I think that would have been playing for the Olin Exports when we had the classic bench clearing brawl against Annigan-ish. Just he's good for one a year usually. Ben Metzger and things got a little carried away, but that was pretty crazy.
As soon as you said Olin's, I knew it was some kind of brawl or something. And then you mentioned the Bulldogs, and it just makes it perfect.
Yeah.
All right. What is the biggest game score you've ever been a part of on either end of it?
Biggest game score, big difference.
Yeah, big score, goal difference. Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that last game in Central Texas with the Stampede, that 15-0 loss as the team was folding, was probably the most lopsided game I've ever been a part of.
Ouch.
I thought this question would be pretty easy for you, but you did name a lot of other names that I wasn't really thinking of when we wrote it. If you could bring back one former Tampa player out of retirement for one season, who would it be?
Ooh, man, I mean, Marty St. Louis. He was the engine that drove the team. Vinny Lecavalier. He was, dynamic on the ice. I got a soft spot for Brad Richards. Obviously, I think he's a playmaker that scores goals and does things out there that, no one else could do. So I think I'd probably want to bring all three of them back to play on the same line.
That's fair.
Could do whatever you want with these.
All right.
What's your biggest point total in a game? Personal.
Me? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. Maybe a couple goals, couple assists, couple winning off the foot or something. Nothing too crazy.
What's your go-to pre-game meal?
Chicken parm.
Quick one. Do you ever want to tell John Cooper what to do with his lineup? Inside,
Coop's too good at what he does. He's an amazing human being too. He's a real solid guy. I'll let Coop make those decisions.
Safe answer. Yeah. Do you still own your Dartmouth Subways leather jacket?
I can't believe you just asked me that. My folks came down to visit about 2 years ago, and they were cleaning out a bunch of closets at home, and they put it in their suitcase. And when I came home from work, it was hanging in my living room. So the answer to your question is yes, it's in that closet, like right there.
Isn't that something?
Best jacket ever.
Yes.
Yeah.
What various things did people call you in your playing days, and what do various people call you around the Lightning?
I'm Hiller, pretty much. That's been the staple, I think, for forever. Obviously, Maddie. I'm sure you get that one as well.
Yeah.
Hilly, but Hiller's what everybody calls me for the most part.
Okay, even around the Lightning today, people will be, "Hey, Hiller, what's?"
Yeah. It's universal.
All right, I got a trade on the table for you. Thunderbug for Gritty, 1-for-1. Do you pull the trigger?
Thunderbug for Gritty? Oh man, I got a soft spot for Thunderbug. That'd be tough to trade him away. But I got to tell you, Gritty has done an unreal job. He's created a brand right now, and what he does and how he brings that social media to life is pretty cool and impressive to watch. But Thunderbug's my guy.
Sticking with the guy. All right. What is your go-to breakaway move?
Ooh, my son has worked on the Kucherov. You know, the Kucherov where he does the old and just puck slides in between his feet. I was a forehand backhand shelf guy. That was it. I didn't have too much in the bag.
Okay. How many career fights do you have, and what's your record?
Oh man, I may have dropped the gloves because they slipped off maybe 6 or 7 times. Not a whole lot. And I think I did better job blocking punches with my face than anything.
All right. Well done.
Yeah.
Managing Team Canada, do you have any picks that might surprise some people, like in your own mind that you have?
Oh man, I haven't given that much thought, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I mean, I think that team can be good. Team USA can be good too. I mean, I'd love to see this all come together and, have the opportunity for the best to play the best on that stage. Canada's deep. Canada's really deep. I don't think I can think of anyone that would be off the radar crazy pick right now. Maybe you kind of see sort of how things, play out the rest of the season, but I think those staples are pretty set, and I think they should do well.
I like our chances.
Speaking of team depth, who do you think is an underrated player for the Lightning right now that you think deserves more love than maybe they get?
I'll tell you all the big guys get all the recognition. I'll tell you a player that's sneaky good and plays his role and does unbelievable things out there to, be a huge pillar on our back end is Eric Chernak. I mean, he's so dependable, doesn't make mistakes. Pucks are always out. He always gets pucks on net. Like he's a real big, plays a huge role in our hockey team that probably doesn't get quite as much fanfare.
Beauty. Final one. If you already live in Florida, so where might you retire? There's nowhere to go.
Oh man, I'll tell you, it'd be nice to be at the point someday where you've got get the summer home in Nova Scotia and the winter place down here. I think that if you could script it up, that'd be how I'd like to see it play out.
Beauty. Well, I mean, I was a drill buster, but you nailed it, man. Thanks for playing. It was beautiful. And thanks for a great interview, Hiller. This is, I just had a great time doing this. Josh, you're feeling it the whole time. I could just tell Josh was enjoying himself.
Yes.
I want to know, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wish I had, or anything final you'd kind of like to share with listeners? It's a final word.
Yeah. You know what, man, I'll tell you this. One is I've enjoyed this conversation a lot, and I'd be happy to do it anytime that you'd want me to sit down and talk, because I could talk about this stuff all the time. I got a lot of respect for both of you guys. I remember watching you guys come up through the ranks and recognize you both and what you've done, and happy to see where you both have gone and the success that you've kind of paved your way. So very cool. Listen, man, this is what it's all about. It's friendships and people that you meet along the way, and you don't have to talk to them every day to have those relationships, because they can pick right up where they were when you cross paths, or in the past or in the future. So listen, man, this has been a lot of fun. Enjoy the run, man. I look forward to following you guys on the podcast. I'll certainly continue to tune in and be a fan.
Right on, man. Well, I very much appreciate that, all of that.
Yeah.
And Josh, do you have anything to say on that before I move on?
Those words. I got to take a moment to let those sink in, so you can do your thing.
All right. To listeners, I just ask you to share this interview as always. Of course, a lot of people here know Matty Hill. You know people who want to hear Matty Hill. And then this is just of interest to anybody, I'm sure, whether you're a hockey fan or not. You might even become a hockey fan. You might become a Tampa fan if you listen to this. So share this around. Of course, get in the comments section, ask questions, make comments. We'd love to know you're out there. Let us know what you think about any of this. Hiller, is there anywhere you'd like to people can connect with you, or you want to direct them to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big social media guy. I've got a Facebook page, and I've got a Twitter account, but I don't tweet. My email address, I'm happy to share, reach out and chat. It's pretty simple at viniksportsgroup.com, VINIK sportsgroup.com. just have it too. If anyone reaches out and you want to share it with them, I'd be happy to connect. I mean, we're all in this together, man. And sports is a fun industry. And if, people are interested in trying to get themselves into this business, I love talking to people about it and seeing if we can help kind of, show them the way to successful career, I guess, for lack of a better word. So yeah, happy to talk to anybody anytime.
Right on, Matty. I'm going to put it up there, but just for the audio people, can you just repeat that one more time? I think we got a little bit of a cut there. The email.
Yeah, mhill at vinicsportsgroup.com, and Vinic is VINIK. So vinicsportsgroup.com.
Well, that's perfect, man. Well, thanks again, and all the best in Tampa. And so many legitimate contenders every year, but there's no reason to bet against them this season, I would say. So, as I say, all the best to you personally and to your family, and I hope you just keep enjoying your work and your life. Like, I just love hearing it. You were mentioning you love hearing boys doing well all around. I do too. I love seeing you doing so well. Great to see East Coasters representing the South. So, keep it up, man.
Awesome, man. Guys, listen, this has been a lot of fun. You guys are doing some great work. Keep it going.
Enjoy that banner Saturday.
Yeah, sounds good.
Big time. And we'll keep in touch. And to listeners, we'll see you guys next time. Okay, so I guess how much? Yeah, I guess Josh, you had something about. I guess we're gonna have to cut this part. Holy crap! I fumbled through this one.
I'll take a sip of my wine.
If you tell your wife, I gotta go get some pop. What does she think of that? She make fun of you?
Laura, you know Pop, don't you?
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, she's from Wisconsin, so she's Pop. She would probably call Pat.
I wanted to tell you one more, Matty, from SMU days though, just a story, because I was just checking out the roster, like on one of those websites or whatever. I didn't want to look at the stats too close. But obviously, those couple of years I had a great time. Obviously I didn't get to play a lot or anything, but I just had a great time because of what you were talking about. It's about the boys and hanging out. And obviously, and Casey Walsh was obviously always in my boat too. We both kind of had a similar role, I guess you'd say. And I remember one practice, I don't know if you've ever heard this or he told you, but it's just a line that he said, and I remember it forever. We were there and Steiny was saying basically, okay, we're going to work on the PP now. We're going to get the first unit down at one end, second units down at the other end and whatever. And then this is back in the days when you would have like the computer lab and Hotmail was coming out. And then Casey comes over and he's like, hey, Bolts, want to check our email? I was like, and I'd laugh. And it just made me laugh so hard. And then I was like, so I just having fun again. And, and that kind of thing, just, that attitude through it made it really fun. Yeah.
Casey Walsh is a good man. Good man.
I love Walsh.
That is a Josh Boulton goal.